Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we cut through all the noise and go deep on today's most interesting topics. Today, we're going to be looking at self-made millionaires. Not the ones who inherited a bunch of money or won the lottery or something like that, but people who built their fortunes, completely from scratch. So we're going to see if we can unlock their secrets to success by looking at their habits.
Yeah, it's always really interesting to kind of get inside the minds of people who've achieved that level of success and see if there are common threads that we can learn from.
Totally. So the source we're diving into today is a book called 13 Habits of Self-Made Millionaires. It's by Shashish Kumar Tiwari, and it was just published in November 2024, so it's really hot off the presses. Obviously, we can't reveal all 13 habits here, but we'll definitely share some of the most surprising and insightful ones.
And you know what's interesting is that even if you're not trying to become a millionaire, these habits are still valuable for anyone seeking success in any field. They can really provide a blueprint for achieving your goals, whatever those goals might be.
Okay, so before we get into the actual habits themselves, can you tell us a little bit more about this Shashish Kumar Tiwari? His background seems pretty impressive.
Oh, absolutely. He's not just an author, he's a motivational speaker with a massive following on YouTube, almost 3 million subscribers. He's also a corporate trainer and a social worker. It's quite a diverse resume.
Wow, yeah, that is quite a range. What do you think it is about Tiwari that allows him to connect with such a diverse group of people?
I think it really speaks to the universality of his message. It's not just about wealth, it's about creating a lasting impact. In fact, the book's description actually says it's about building not just financial success, but a lasting legacy. And I think that's something that resonates with people from all walks of life.
Okay, so with such a diverse background, what unique insights do you think Tiwari brings to this whole concept of success habits? Should we dive into some of the key takeaways from the book?
Yeah, let's do it. So we don't have the full list of all 13 habits, but we can at least talk about the ones that are highlighted in the Amazon listing and what those might tell us about Tiwari's approach. One that really stood out to me was the emphasis on delayed gratification. The book really encourages you to think long-term and resist the urge for those instant rewards.
That's an interesting one. I think a lot of people really struggle with that these days. In today's world of instant everything, it's all about getting what you want right now.
Exactly. But Tiwari argues that self-made millionaires understand the power of delaying gratification. They're willing to sacrifice those short-term pleasures for those long-term gains. And this is actually backed by research. Studies have shown that people who are really good at delaying gratification, well, they tend to be more successful in different areas of their lives.
So it's not just a millionaire mindset then. It's like a valuable skill for anyone who wants to achieve their goals.
Absolutely. Another habit that the book highlights is the importance of continuous learning. Tiwari really stresses that millionaires are always seeking to expand their knowledge and skills. They're not afraid to step outside of their comfort zones and learn new things.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the world is changing so rapidly. You kind of have to be constantly learning and adapting to stay ahead of the curve.
Precisely. And I think this is really where Tiwari's background as a corporate trainer comes into play. He really seems to understand the importance of investing in yourself and constantly upgrading those skills.
Now, you mentioned earlier that the book isn't just about financial success. Does Tiwari talk about habits that relate to personal well-being at all?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, the book really emphasizes the importance of habits that cultivate both personal and professional success. For example, one of the habits he talks about is practicing mindfulness.
Mindfulness. That's not something you typically associate with millionaires, is it? I always thought it was all about hustle and grind.
Yeah, that's a common misconception. Mindfulness is actually becoming increasingly popular among successful entrepreneurs. Research has even shown that mindfulness practices like meditation can help to reduce stress, improve focus, and even boost creativity. And those are all super essential qualities for anyone striving for success.
So it's not just about working harder. It's about working smarter and taking care of your mental well-being as well.
Exactly. And that's what I find so fascinating about Tiwari's approach. He's not just promoting that typical work yourself to the bone mentality. He really recognizes that true success comes from a more holistic approach. That encompasses both your personal and your professional growth.
I love that. So he's really encouraging people to build a life they love, not just a big bank account.
Precisely. And the habits he outlines in the book really provide a framework for doing just that. Now, another intriguing habit that caught my eye.
Wow, this is really making me rethink some of my own habits. It sounds like Tuwari is advocating for a much more balanced approach to success, one that really considers both the internal and external factors.
Well, absolutely. It's not just about the actions that you take, but also the mindset that you cultivate. And this actually leads perfectly into another habit that he highlights in the book, building strong relationships.
Oh, interesting. You wouldn't necessarily think of networking as like a key habit for success?
Maybe not in the traditional sense.
Mm.
But Tawari really argues that self-made millionaires understand the importance of surrounding themselves with the right people. They build genuine relationships with mentors, advisors, peers, people who support their growth and challenge them to be better.
So it's not just about collecting business cards at networking events, then it's more about fostering meaningful connections that can actually like propel you forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think this is particularly relevant in today's world,
Yeah.
where collaboration and community are becoming so important. You can achieve so much more when you have a strong network of people who really believe in you and your vision.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's that old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Maybe that's what Turai is getting at here.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's about recognizing that success is rarely a solo endeavor. Now, you mentioned earlier that you're trying to rethink some of your own habits. Is there anything specific from the book that's really resonating with you?
Well, the habit of delayed gratification is definitely one that I need to work on. I'm a little bit impulsive by nature, so I tend to seek out that instant gratification. But hearing Tawari's perspective and the research that supports it, it's definitely given me something to think about.
Yeah, I can relate to that. It's a constant battle for a lot of us. But even small steps in the right direction can make a big difference over time. Perhaps setting some small goals for yourself where you can practice delaying gratification. That could be a good starting point.
Mm, that's a good idea. Maybe I could start by setting a goal to save a certain amount of money each month
Yeah.
instead of just spending it on impulse purchases.
Exactly. And then you can gradually increase that amount as you become more comfortable with the process. Remember, it's about building sustainable habits, not about making these drastic changes overnight.
This is all really practical advice. I'm starting to see how these habits could really be applied to anyone's life, not just people who are trying to become millionaires.
That's the beauty of it. These principles of success are universal. They're not tied to any specific industry or income level. It's all about cultivating the right mindset and taking those actions, the actions that will really propel you towards your goals.
Speaking of goals, I'm curious to know if Tori actually talks about the importance of setting goals. It seems like such a fundamental aspect of success.
Well, you're absolutely right. And yes, setting clear goals is another habit that he emphasizes. He actually takes it a step further and encourages readers to develop a vision board.
A vision board. That sounds a little woo-woo to me. Isn't that something you see on all those inspirational Instagram posts with sunsets and motivational quotes?
Well, it can be,
Uh,
but there's actually some science behind it, you know? Creating a visual representation of your goals, it can actually help program your subconscious mind for success. It's about creating a tangible reminder of what you're working towards and keeping yourself motivated.
So it's like a roadmap to your dreams then, a constant reminder of where you want to go.
Precisely. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can simply create like a collage of images and words
Yeah.
that represent your goals and aspirations.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all of these habits kind of connect and build upon each other. It's not just about these individual actions, it's about creating this whole ecosystem that supports your success.
You're getting it. It's like a symphony of habits, all working together in harmony to create this masterpiece.
So we've talked about delayed gratification, continuous learning, building strong relationships, practicing mindfulness, setting clear goals. What other intriguing habits does Tuwari reveal in his book?
Well, one that really resonated with me is the idea of embracing failure.
Embracing failure. That's an interesting one. Most people try to avoid failure at all costs. Why would you want to embrace it?
Because failure is an inevitable part of the journey. It's through our mistakes and setbacks that we actually learn and grow the most. Tuwari encourages readers to view failure not as a setback, but as an opportunity for feedback and a chance to course correct.
So it's not about being afraid to fail. It's about reframing your perspective on failure.
Exactly. Self-made millionaires don't let failure define them. They see it as a stepping stone to something greater. They learn from their mistakes, they dust themselves off, and they keep moving forward.
That's a powerful mindset shift. I think a lot of people could really benefit from adopting that perspective.
Absolutely, and I think it's important to remember that success isn't always a linear path. There are going to be bumps along the way, but it's how you navigate those challenges that ultimately determines your success.
So it's not about avoiding the storms, it's about learning to sail through them.
Perfectly put. Now, another habit that's highlighted in the book
Yeah, it's amazing how all of these habits seem to like connect back to this broader theme of self-awareness and personal growth. It's not just about these like external actions you take. It's really about cultivating the right mindset.
You got it. And that actually leads perfectly into another habit that Tawari highlights in the book, taking calculated risks.
Risk taking. That can be a kind of scary concept for a lot of people. So how does Tuwari approach this in a way that feels empowering rather than intimidating?
Well, he really emphasizes that calculated part of the equation. It's not about being reckless or anything like that. It's about carefully assessing opportunities and weighing those potential rewards against the potential downsides. Self-made millionaires are often willing to step outside of their comfort zones, but they do so with a clear understanding of the risks involved.
Okay, so it's more about informed decision making, not just blindly leaping into the unknown.
Exactly. And, it actually ties back to some of the other habits we've already talked about, like continuous learning. The more you learn and expand your knowledge base, the better equipped you are to make those informed decisions about risk.
Thinking about risk taking reminds me of this one time when I had the opportunity to take on this new project at work. It was totally outside of my usual responsibilities, and I was definitely hesitant at first, but I knew it was a chance to learn and grow, so I just took the leap.
And how did it turn out?
It was challenging for sure, but it was also incredibly rewarding. I learned all these new skills, gained some really valuable experience, and it honestly opened up all these new opportunities for me within the company. Looking back, I'm so glad I took that risk.
That's awesome. That's a perfect example of how stepping outside of your comfort zone can lead to that unexpected growth and success.
Hmm.
And it sounds like you totally embody that calculated approach that Dewari talks about. You didn't just jump in blindly. You weighed the potential risks and rewards before making that decision.
Yeah, that's true. I had to kind of trust my gut and believe in my ability to learn and adapt along the way.
And that's another key element of successful risk-taking. Self-belief. You really have to believe in yourself and your abilities in order to take those leaps of faith.
Now, speaking of self-belief, one thing I've been wondering about is whether Tiwari actually addresses the role of luck in all of this, in achieving success.
That's a great question. It's something that people often debate. Does success come down to hard work and strategy? Or is it simply a matter of being in the right place at the right time?
Right. It's like the age-old nature versus nurture debate, but applied to success.
Exactly. While Tuari does acknowledge that luck can play a role, he argues that self-made millionaires often create their own luck through hard work, persistence, and a willingness to seize those opportunities when they arise.
So it's not just about waiting for good things to happen. It's about putting yourself out there and actually creating those opportunities.
Exactly. I think that's a much more empowering perspective than simply relying on chance. You know you're in control of your own destiny.
Well, this has been such an enlightening conversation. It's really amazing how much we can learn from the habits of these self-made millionaires. Even if we're not all like aspiring to build these massive fortunes, I think these principles of success can really be applied to any area of life.
I totally agree. It's about cultivating that right mindset, adopting those empowering habits, and then taking consistent action towards your goals.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll be featuring one of our listeners on a future deep dive, sharing their own success story.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Cool.
It's really inspiring to think about the ripple effect that these ideas can have, motivating others to pursue their dreams and create a positive impact on the world.
Okay, so for anyone listening who's feeling inspired to take action, what would be your one piece of advice?
Start small. Pick just one habit that really resonates with you and focus on incorporating it into your daily routine. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. Consistency is key when it comes to building those lasting habits.
That's great advice. Small changes consistently applied can lead to remarkable results over time.
Absolutely. And remember, the journey is just as important as the destination. Enjoy that process of growth and learning along the way.
Well said. On that note, it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the habits of self-made millionaires.
Thanks for joining us on this journey of exploration. We hope you've learned some valuable insights that you can apply to your own life.
And remember, if you're looking for a deeper dive into all 13 habits, be sure to check out Shashish Kumar Tiwari's book. Until next time, keep seeking knowledge and keep diving deep.